Hi besties, welcome back to my channel. In today's episode, I thought it would be fun if we discussed my July reading wrap up. I've got some stats here of how my reading month went. In the month of July, I read 9 books for a total of 3,543 pages. My average star rating was a 3.66, which I think was actually better than last month, which is crazy because I literally rated a book 2 stars this month. But anywho, for genre breakdown, I read 2 fantasy, 4 romance, 1 YA, and then 2 just like general fiction. I think literally all 9 of them I read by immersion reading. There wasn't one that I just like sat down and fully read, like with my eyes on an e-reader, fully audiobooked, etc. I picked up every single one of them in some capacity, in multiple different capacities. My favorite for the month was definitely Warbreaker. My least favorite was Expiration Dates. But anywho, the first book I read in July was Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. This book is basically like if Outer Banks and National Treasure and like some silly rom-com had a baby. This book was so crazy. It was like simultaneously really good and not. Like I had fun reading certain parts of it, but then by the end I was kind of like, what are we doing here? Like it kind of dropped the like adventure plot to go just like full romance. I wish they had focused a little heavier on the like crazy mystery adventure that was going on, but oh well, I guess. I did rate this 3 stars. Like I said, I had fun reading it, but I don't think I loved it. And I'm also not sure I would recommend it. Like it was good. I like Christina Lauren, but there was just something about it that didn't work for me. But I'm not a super big romance girly, so maybe I should have known going into it. The next book I read was actually Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't have a physical copy. I borrowed my copy from a friend, but I do technically have a reading vlog of me reading this. It's my how much can I read as a corporate girly video, I think. I'll link it down in the description below if you want to see like my actual full legit thoughts of Atmosphere. But just to give a brief little summary, I liked Atmosphere and I kind of wish I did have a copy. I think it would have been a good book to annotate. There were so many beautiful quotes and lines in it, but I just didn't love it. I think it would have worked really, really well strictly as a fiction, but the moment the romance was kind of introduced, I personally just lost interest a little bit. Like it wasn't bad, it's just I thought them exploring space and kind of that plot was a little bit more interesting than the romance, but not a bad book by any means. After that, I picked up Expiration Dates by Rebecca Serrell. This book I rated 2 stars. I couldn't tell you a single thing that happened. It was very forgettable for me, which I don't know if that's the fact that I just read 3 kind of similar books back to back to back. I also was reading this at the same time as my next book I'll show here in a moment. So that also could be playing into my review a little bit. But basically, this is about a girl who she gets like these little pieces of paper that says the person and their expiration date, like how long she has with each partner. And there was just like a plot twist in here that didn't make sense to me and it just kind of felt like a wasted book. Like the whole plot just dissolved. Like it just why did anything happen? I don't know. And it's really hard to talk about my feelings on this without giving spoilers. I do think it'd be worth a read. It's really, really short, but I just didn't love it. And then after that, I picked up Sounds Like Love by Ashley Poston. I gave this book 3 stars. This is basically about a girl and her love interest. They can like communicate by talking through their brains. And through doing that, they write a song together. And it's like kind of a big deal because she's been in a songwriting slump for a while. She's like a famous songwriter. This book wasn't bad. I just think it also didn't work for me. I just like couldn't get into it. I don't know. I didn't love the fact that they could talk to each other in their brains. I just something about it just didn't work for me. But that is such a bummer because she's one of my favorite romance authors. But again, I do think this one's worth a read. I think it's one of those books that it may or may not be for you. I have so many friends that read it and loved it, so I definitely think it's worth checking out. It just didn't necessarily work for me. And then after that, I was in a little bit of a slump. So I picked up an oldie but a goodie. I reread Confessions of a Murder Suspect by James Patterson. This is a book that I read as a child. I think I've mentioned this before in one of my other videos about how it's kind of one of the books that was foundational to my reading as a teenager. But I decided to pick this up because it's pretty fast paced, like it's a YA mystery, but also my library had a copy of the audiobook available, so I just put it on one night and listened to it while I was like packing to go out of town, I think. And honestly, I had so much fun re-listening to it, and I had forgotten so much of the plot. So I'm really, really glad I picked this up. It's one of those series that I feel like nobody ever talks about. I've never ever heard of anyone else who's ever read this. So if you've read this series by James Patterson, please let me know down in the comments. I would love to discuss it with someone. But I will say it's a little dated. Like I think it's from 2012 maybe, but I do think this is one of those like fun, fast-paced YA mysteries that like is kind of crazy. Like it'd be worth checking out. And it was just a quick, easy, fun read. And then after that, I finally finished Warbreaker. I read this book for literally so long, it's not even funny, but I had such an amazing time reading this. I think I'm gonna do a really, really deep dive, like my feelings about it in my next Cosmere catch up episode. But I'll give a little brief review here. Basically, Warbreaker is about a magic system where they use breath and colors, and it is super unique. Basically, our main character, Siri, and her older sister Vivenna switch places. Vivenna has been training her whole life to be the queen. She, like, their country and another country are like in a war, and she's been training her whole life to go off and marry the king of this other country. But at the last minute, Siri gets sent instead, and it's just crazy. It's her story. It's like all of their stories. It follows Vivenna and Siri both in their kind of like timeline and what they're doing and whether or not the country's going to continue to go to war, basically what happens, like why the sisters got switched. There's so much magic, and one of the best characters in this book is a sword. So it's crazy. I think about this book pretty often. I mean, I know I just finished it, but I can't stop thinking about it. After that, I picked up All Roads Lead Here. I have a vlog of me reading this. It's my Colorado travel vlog if you want like my really, really in-depth live reactions to this book. But basically, this is a slow burn romance about um, like a girl who is like on a self-discovery track, and she rents out the upstairs garage apartment of this really grumpy older man. And it is, I say older, he's like 40 to her 30, but slightly older. But it is so good. I did rate it. Yeah, I rated this book a 3.5. It wasn't bad. It just kind of like, for me, there were parts that I didn't love. I go way into it in my Colorado vlog if you want like my extra thought out details. But basically, I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. I'm really glad I read it in Pagosa. I thought that was really fun. But other than that, I'm not too sure how I feel about it. But I would recommend it. I think I'm like on the train by myself. Like I think I'm the only person in America that didn't love it. So, and then after that, once again, I finally finished a book. I finally finished These Summer Storms by Sarah McLean. I don't know why it took me so long to read this. I think it's because I read literally all of those other books after picking this up. I don't know why I didn't just binge this. When I started it, I was fully obsessed. I was underlining so much stuff, but then by the time I got to like, I don't know, maybe 100 pages in, about a third of the way through, I just lost all interest. There's like these trials in this book, and once the trials started, I just like didn't care anymore. They didn't seem very realistic to me, which was a major bummer because, like I said, when this book started, I loved it. But sorry to be annoying like this. But if you do want my full thoughts and opinions, I do have a video dropping next week. Actually, I'll link it down below once it drops, if I remember. That I write my review for this like live. I'm doing a how to write reviews video, and this is the book I'm writing the review for. Like I'm writing the review for this book in that video. So go check that out if you want my like super in-depth review. I write it live with you guys. But overall, yeah, this book just like it started out so strong, and then by the end I was just kind of like, why are we here? And last but not least, I read Mistborn: A Secret History. This is technically Mistborn 3.5. It's a little novella that takes place after the first trilogy. I can't talk a ton about it because it would spoil the first three books in the Mistborn trilogy, but let's just say this book is literally crazy. I was sitting there when I finished it like this. Like, it was just insane, and I loved it. And I highly recommend giving this a read if you've read the first Mistborn trilogy. A lot of people say to wait until after Bands of Mourning to read it. I didn't do that, so take my advice with a grain of salt, but I do think that you could read this before Bands of Mourning. I will report back in once I know more, though. But anywho, those were the 9 books I read in July. For August, I have this TBR. It is mostly Stormlight Archive, if I'm being honest, because I genuinely think it's going to take me like the whole month to read The Way of Kings, but I have to read it. Like, if I don't read The Way of Kings in August, like, just cancel me, okay? I'm done. But some of the other books on my TBR kind of radar is I really, really want to read Wild Dark Shore. I really, really want to read My Friends by Frederick Bachman. And then there's just a couple of other little fillers here and there that I think could be good to split up my Stormlight Archive adventure a little bit, because I do fear I'll get burned out if I read nothing but that. But anywho, thank you so much for watching. I hope to catch you in the next one. I love you guys.